I would ask you, during the campaign, President-elect Obama said that he would employ, quote, big carrots and big sticks to deal with Iran's nuclear program. We do know that there's a significant package of incentives already on the table from the P5+1, and the prospect of increased Security Council sanctions may be questionable at best. So could you share with us the thinking at this stage? I know it's early, but can you share with us what additional carrots the administration might have in mind? Why do you believe those might be enough to change Iran's calculations? Are tougher sanctions achievable, and how are you and the administration viewing this at this point?
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And obviously the incoming administration views with great concern the role that Iran is playing in the world, its sponsorship of terrorism, its continuing interference with the functioning of other governments, and its pursuit of nuclear weapons. There is an ongoing policy review that the Obama administration has undertaken. But I think, as the President-elect said just this past weekend, our goal will be to do everything we can pursue through diplomacy, through the use of sanctions, through creating better coalitions with countries that we believe also have a big stake in preventing Iran from becoming a nuclear weapon power, to try to prevent this from occurring. We are not taking any option off the table at all, but we will pursue a new, perhaps different approach that will become a cornerstone of what the Obama administration believes is an attitude toward engagement that might bear fruit. We have no illusions, Mr. Chairman, that even with a new administration looking to try to engage Iran in a way that might influence its behavior, that we can predict the results. But the President-elect is committed to that course, and we will pursue it.
Do you believe that tougher UN sanctions are available from which to choose? And secondly, are they achievable?
You know, it's kind of like the experimenter's bias in a way. We won't know what we're capable of achieving until we're actually there working on it. We have a commitment to engaging with international organizations in a very intense and ongoing way. We are going to be working with our friends and our adversaries in the United Nations. We're going to be making the case to members of the Security Council who have been either dubious or unwilling to cooperate up until now, that a nuclear-armed Iran is in no one's interests under any circumstances. So, Mr. Chairman, it's hard to predict how successful we will be, but I promise you our very best efforts in doing all that we can to try to achieve greater international support for sanctions and actions that could actually influence the behavior of the Iranian government, the supreme leader and the religious council, and the Revolutionary Guard and the Quds Force, because as you know so well, all these are players. And so our task will be to try to figure out the appropriate and effective pressure that will perhaps lead to us dissuading Iran from going forward.
Well, I happen to agree with you that it is, in fact, legitimately impossible to be able to determine exactly what options are available until you begin to get into a conversation and begin to see what the play is. But as a matter of fundamental American policy, let me ask you a question. Is it the policy of the incoming administration, as a bottom line of our security interests and our policy, that it is unacceptable that Iran has a weapon, under any circumstances, and that we will take any steps necessary to prevent that? Or is it simply not desirable? I think, as you said, it's in no one's interest, which is less than an affirmation of a prohibition.
Well, Mr. President, the President-elect,
I'll take that.
Chairman, yes, it was a Freudian slip. The President-elect.
We're both subject to those.
Yes, indeed,
I want you to know.
indeed. On this subject, especially, the President-elect has said repeatedly it is unacceptable. It is going to be United States policy to pursue diplomacy with all of its multitudinous tools to do everything we can to prevent Iran from becoming a nuclear weapons state. As I also said, no option is off the table. So the President-elect has been very clear that it is unacceptable, and that is our premise, and that is what we are going to be basing our actions on.
The Bush administration sent Undersecretary Burns to the last round of those talks essentially as an observer. Do you plan to send a U.S. representative to engage directly in those kinds of discussions almost immediately?
Well, Mr. Chairman, we are looking at a range of possibilities. One very important aspect of the decisions we make is that we engage in consultation with our friends in the region and beyond. We don't want anything I say today or anything the President-elect says to take our friends and allies by surprise. So we cannot tell you with specificity exactly the steps we will take. But I think it's fair to say that the President-elect, as recently as this weekend, has said that we're going to be trying new approaches because what we've tried has not worked. They are closer to nuclear weapons capacity today than they were. So we're going to be looking broadly, but in consultation. And I want to underscore that because it's very important that those who have to live in the region, many of whom are our allies, Israel and others who have a legitimate set of concerns about Iran's growing power and its use of that power, should know that the Obama administration will be consulting broadly and deeply so that when we will move in concert insofar as possible.
Do you plan personally to engage in personal diplomacy with Iranian officials at a high level in the near term?
Well, again, Mr. Chairman, I want to wait to determine the exact contours of how we proceed until we're actually in office and have a chance to consult with others, because it is very clear to me that we have not as full a brief as we need on the feelings of many of the important players. We have carefully hewed to the President-elect's position. There's one president at a time. We have not spoken with foreign leaders. We have not, in many instances, taken their calls because we want to be very respectful of the ongoing work of the Bush administration. As soon as we are in a position to do so, we will be consulting and we will be setting forth a series of actions, and we will be consulting and informing this committee. Well,
I know you've been very careful about that, and I think it's been appropriate, and I think a wise course, and I look forward to you being able to get deeply engaged. Last question, just quickly. Last year, 6 colleagues and I, including Senator Levin, wrote to Secretary Rice urging her to establish an interest section in Tehran. It just seems counterproductive and almost incomprehensible that we're not on the ground in some of these places. We don't have an ambassador in Syria, for instance. We should have. So I would ask you if you have made a decision, and will you proceed forward to create an interest section in Tehran and immediately put an ambassador back in Syria?
Again, Mr. Chairman, these are matters that are part of our policy review, and we will turn to them with great diligence and attention as soon as we are able to.
Well, I hope the question establishes some sense of priority.
I think I got your drift, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Lugar.